Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another wrap-up. I finally read 3 books so I can film one of these videos. It's been a while, but you know, my reading has not been fast, but at least I did enjoy all the books that I read, and the first 2 are actually connected because they're books 1 and 2 in the series, and I'm talking about Sleeping Giants and Awaking Gods by Sylvain Neuvel, which are part of the Themis file series. And these books start off with this girl falling into a metallic hand in the ground, and later on this same girl is all grown up and she's a scientist and in charge of a team of scientists and researchers who are trying to figure out what this hand is, what it is made of, where did it come from, what does it do, how can they use it, and all that. And it's a very interesting research, so yeah, I really enjoyed that part of the story, trying to figure out what is going on. It's told in a file type of format, so we have interviews of people that are working on a project or are, you know, they're somehow involved with the project, and I really love that. It moves really fast and it also gives you the opportunity to see how different people view the project, what they find important, how, you know, they rationalize things and all that. I really love that. I really enjoyed all the characters, even the morally shady ones, because, you know, some people just have opinions that I don't agree with, and that's fine. That's how we work. My favorite was definitely the interviewer, and I'm not really certain that we ever learned whether or not it's a he or a she because they are anonymous, but I have a feeling that it's a he. Maybe we are giving hints, I'm not sure, and I just picked on that, but I feel that it's a guy, and he is a master manipulator. His steps were leagues ahead of everyone else in his planning and scheming, so, you know, I really like that. He's also pretty sarcastic and all that, and I enjoyed that as well. I also like Mr. Burns. I have this image of a certain actor whose name I don't know, but I've seen him in movies or TV shows, and he would just fit that image very well, and I enjoy that character as well. He gives us a lot of answers, but a lot of them might be total bullshit, so yeah, I really liked him as well. Book 2 actually picks up 9 years after the first one ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I actually received this book as an ARC from NetGalley, from the publishers, which I do appreciate, but I also of course knew that I was gonna want to have a finished copy, so I ordered it straight away. And this one, you know, in this one we have visitors and we have no clue what they want and what to do with them, and just in general there are of course various opinions how we should respond, and soon things start developing and we get actually some answers to the questions that we had in the first book, and also, you know, answers bring new questions. And what I really like about Sylvain Neuvel is how he manages to incorporate religion and mythology into this, and how the answers that we get in these books are sort of the answers to the stories that he talks about, that he includes, you know, from religion and all that. So I really like that a lot. And, you know, there was, regarding characters, there was one character in book 2 that I hated. Such an annoying character, and I just wish they weren't there, but they're serving their purpose. And it's, you know, it's also, these books also ask a lot of questions. How far should we go for science? You know, what is too much? How far is too much? What is allowed for the purpose of progression or whatever? And those are all interesting questions, and they make you think. And luckily enough, I'm really happy enough that book 3 is coming out really soon, so I won't have to wait long to learn what the story brings us next and how it concludes. So pick it up, guys, it's really enjoyable. The last book that I'm going to talk about is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, which I buddy read with Haley from Haley Reads. I will leave her channel up here so you can go check her out. And it was her first time reading this book, but it was a reread for me, and I have to say that it's been like 3 years since I read it, and there are definitely a lot of details that I have forgotten, so it was interesting seeing the story again, or reading the story again. This takes place in a world that is divided into different kingdoms. They used to be part of a whole, but then this great war happened, and they got divided into different kingdoms. And we have Helendren, who is ruled by the God King, and has a court of gods as well. And then we have this smaller kingdom which, you know, I don't remember the name, so whatever. But the king there has to has a few kids, but we are basically following two of the princesses, Ciri and Vivenna. And Vivenna was meant to become the God King's bride, because the kingdoms are always on the brink of war, and there was this treaty that they signed years ago that promised Vivenna to the God King as a bride. And now the time has come for Vivenna to go, but the king, her father, decides to actually send the younger daughter, Ciri, to fulfill that role. And it sort of messes things up because, well, that's not what was, meant to be. And we follow these two girls as they struggle through this new life that they were thrust into. And this book is actually not really action-based, and it's not really political. There's a lot of intrigue, but there's a lot of focus on the characters, I would say, because at the beginning of the story, all of the characters are really lost in their lives. The sisters, Ciri was the younger one. She was the one that they didn't know what to do about. She had no role to fulfill because Vivenna was supposed to be the bride. Her brother was supposed to be the future king. The other sister is a monk, and Ciri just, she just is, and she is left to do whatever she wants, basically, and they're not very strict with her, and she doesn't receive the same education as her sister Vivenna did, so she's out there, but she's serving no purpose. At least that's how she feels, and now she's thrust into this role that she knows nothing about. She's scared because people talk some bad stuff about Helendren and about the God King, so she's really afraid when she's, going on this journey, and what will she find there. And because of this upbringing that she had, she's a lot more open-minded, she's a lot more just spontaneous, and it serves her well, actually. So suddenly she finds her purpose in life. And Vivenna, on the other hand, she was raised to fulfill this role of being the God King's bride, and suddenly that was taken away from her, and she feels very lost. And she sort of tries to fulfill that purpose by going after Ciri to try to save her. And because, again, of her upbringing and her education, because she knows a lot more about Helendren, but of course it's not necessarily all true, and she has a lot of prejudices about the world of Helendren, because unlike their own kingdom, there are different people that are respected there. So in this world you have people that are called the returned, so people that have died and come back, and usually these people die in a matter of days, a week after they come back, but they can also be maintained by giving them breath, which is the magic system in this world. And some of these are actually the so-called gods in Helendren, the court of gods that serve the God King, who is a returned himself. And basically they function as gods and they're revered as gods, but to Vivenna and her people, they're deemed as monstrosities, basically. And aside from that, breath, the magic system, can also be used to awaken dead things, such as people. So basically they turn them into zombies and they're called lifeless, and they serve as the army and all that. And she views that, she really despises all of that. And as she comes to this kingdom, she is faced with all of these things, and she's faced with all of her prejudices, and she has to deal with that. And I think that of all of the characters that all have great character development, hers is the best. And the first time around reading these books, I didn't like Ciri or her, but this time around I still don't like Vivenna that much, but I really like how she changed and in what she turned into, basically. And then we also followed Lightsong, who is one of the gods in the court of gods, and he is struggling with his life as well. He serves no purpose, he's pretty useless, at least that's how he sees himself. He doesn't believe in his own religion, so he's pretty sarcastic and he has some snarky comments. And again, he's trying to figure out who he used to be and what he should do now. And as I said, everybody's pretty lost in this world, and I just really enjoyed that. The writing is great as always. There's a lot of build-up in this book. So basically up to the last third of the book, there's a lot of build-up. You don't get any answers, or the answers that you do are slightly confusing, especially because you get them for different characters and you're not sure who's lying or who's telling the truth and things like that. But then of course you are bombarded with action and answers and just a lot of greatness throughout the last third, and I just really enjoyed this book as well. The magic system, Breath, is one of the most confusing ones when it comes to Sanderson's magic systems. I still don't quite understand it, and again, that's part of that confusion because people characters give you different answers, and you are then trying to figure out what is actually true. But it's still a very enjoyable book compared to Elantris. You know, rereading these two books, I remember the first time around reading these two books that I did prefer this one to Elantris, but this time around I actually have to say that I like Elantris better than this one, which is a funny development. And again, this is as of yet a sequel, standalone, but it will eventually get a sequel when Brandon Sanderson is deeper into his other series, because this is part of the Cosmere, his great world, and things are connected. Of course, you don't have to actually pay attention to that. You can just read the books and it will be fine. He's working hard to, you know, make that possible for people not to have to be that immersed into this world, but if you do follow that, it's also very interesting. So either way, it's fine. But yeah, that's all that I have to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, bye!